Good people don't smoke marijuana.
I've known Larry for a long time.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. Our love. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa. I got something here for you and me. Oh yeah, it's a medical marijuana. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Medical Marijuana Radio. This week we have a great guest. That's Scott York from Florida. He calls himself the Florida Cannabis Coach. We're going to talk about how cannabis has affected his life, how it's helped his life, and how he's helping other people. Don't forget that every Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific time, I have my Late Night with Larawana show on Clubhouse. Please join us. So we'll be right back with Scott York right after this.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. Our love.
And today I'm very happy to have Scott York, who is the Florida Cannabis Coach. And we're going to talk to Scott all about what's happening in Florida and what cannabis coaching is. Welcome, Scott.
Hi, Larry. Thank you so much for having me.
So, first off, what is a cannabis coach?
Well, a cannabis coach is kind of your Sherpa, your guide along your journey through cannabis. That's kind of what I try to provide here for clients here in Florida. Here in Florida, we're a medical only state, so there are a few restrictions, but a lot of new patients coming on board every single week. We're adding somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 patients a week here in Florida to the state registry.
Okay. So speaking of that, Florida has, had a medical program for a bunch of years. It's been a rough ride for sure. I believe they started off with capping THC percentages, or did you not even have flower at one time?
We just got flower just recently. I want to say within the last year and a half, we added flower. They tried just very, very recently to pass a 10% cap on THC. That was voted down, so it did not pass.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's a trend in some tough states, especially in the South. So, all right. So, a cannabis coach, how do people come to you, and what are they looking for? Are these basically first time users of the plant, or are they just people that maybe are coming to it medicinally for the first time?
Well, Larry, I thought it was going to be what I like to call Little Miss Mary and Little Mr. Marvin. Those first time cannabis users who really had no experience at all. They found out about it through their friends at church or something like that. Yes, those are some of my clients. But I figured out very quickly, because I had a lot of connections in the underground market, or what do we even call legacy market now?
Right.
Where I grew up in the hood. Okay. There's an area here in Orlando called Pine Hills, and now we call it Crime Hills, but that's where I grew up. So I have this unique ability to pull up in areas like that, and I can still walk down those streets. Okay. So I can market to those guys with the dreads and grills, or I can market to Little Miss Mary and Little Mr. Marvin. So I have a kind of a unique position here, especially in Florida, to be able to help those people to use cannabis properly. They might be very experienced at using cannabis, but have never been using it medicinally and actually getting the medical benefits out of the plant.
Right. So, what is your passion for coming to the plant yourself, and how did you educate yourself?
Well, I came to cannabis because of a car accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't say anymore that cannabis changed my life. I literally say that it saved my life. Okay. I came to cannabis after a car accident. I want to say 6 years ago, my journey started. I'm 50 years old, so I didn't start using cannabis until 44.
So you never tried it in high school or college?
No, sir.
Not once. Okay.
No, sir. It's my journey was as a patient was kind of tragic. In my family, I grew up in the just say no era.
Mhm.
Okay. It was kind of beaten into my head that cannabis was bad and how terrible it was. My family blamed my brother's suicide on cannabis.
Oh, okay. I'm
It
sorry to
wasn't
hear that.
cannabis. It was, thank you. It was the mental illness that he was trying to treat that caused his suicide. Had I known then what I know now about cannabis, I could have saved his life.
Mhm.
And that's why I do what I do.
Well, unfortunately, our government stifled the use of cannabis as medicine. It was in the pharmacopoeia, as you probably know and studied, up until I think 1947, where it said that it was good for seizures and so forth. And so the prohibition of 1937 has cost people their lives and it cost people this medicine. So that's the sad part of it. And then in the 70s, uh, Nixon wanted to do a study to find out the bad things that cannabis does, and of course uh, he found out that there were no bad things. That actually it shrunk tumors and helped ALS and Alzheimer's, and the patent 6630507 proves that, because that's a U.S. patent that the United States. So many people could have been saved. Many people could still be alive if it wasn't for the prohibition of this plant. So tell me about your journey in educating yourself and to understand what these cannabinoids do.
I started studying what cannabis could do because of that car accident that I mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
When I had the car accident, the doctors wanted to do surgeries that they didn't know, number one, if they were going to work, but number two, they didn't know why I was still experiencing that pain. They told me that I had a lot of inflammation, and I didn't want to do these medicines and drugs that they were trying to keep me on and put me on, and more cortisone injections and PRP, which was effective, but still didn't take care of all the pain. So I started researching CBD. I started researching cannabis and trying to figure out other natural remedies that could relieve the pain that I was going through.
So what was it like then the first time you used the cannabis and you felt better because it was helping you medicinally? What was that
Well,
like, and what went off in your head?
my first experience with cannabis really wasn't that great. I went into a legal dispensary to buy cannabis for the very first time. And the people that were working in there, what we'll call bud tenders now, they didn't know what to give me. My doctors really obviously didn't put on the pad what I was looking for, what I should go in and ask for. So I went in kind of blind, having done just a little bit of research, and started really on tinctures. And they weren't recommended by the bud tender, but hey, that's, sure, try it. They recommended some topicals that really weren't that effective, but I could see where they could be if they were dialed in a little more correctly.
Were the tinctures containing alcohol?
Yes.
Okay, so it's probably a bad experience. You'll probably remember that it sort of burned when you put it in your mouth, right? So
Yes.
that is something that people don't like, and I think alcohol tinctures. Look, alcohol is great as an extraction. It pulls the cannabinoids out of the plant. It's good that way, and of course, it is safe. But many people can't take alcohol. I'm sure you've had some patients that you've been coaching that don't want to take alcohol. So you finally found the product that helped you with your pain. Is that where we're going with this?
Yes. Eventually, after trial and error and a lot of money spent, I started finding other products that were a little more effective, and then started researching and figuring out, why is that product more effective? What is it that's causing that?
Mm-hmm.
And it came down to the terpenes.
Ah, okay. So what did you find? Of course, terpenes and cannabinoids work on people differently. Everyone's body is different, and so what did you find was best for you? Because what's best for you may not be best for someone else. What worked for you?
Right. What I really eventually found out, and it's just been in the last 2 years, was that the ratio products, the part CBD, part THC, those products were the most effective for my body and what was ailing me. After I got past the pain, which I no longer have, basically it's all gone now. I occasionally get a little flare up in my knee, but it's, from sitting in certain positions, not from the actual accident. My shoulder pain has been gone for about 4.5 years now. I haven't had any of that, but it was certain strains and certain terpene profiles that really got me to where I needed to be. And as I started going down that road a little bit more, I started finding out that, hey, this isn't just for pain. This could be used for sleep. It could be used for weight loss. It could be used for PTSD. And this strain was better for this. But why was it better? Why was that more effective than others? And it all came down to the terpenes and different cannabinoids that were in there.
So what happened the next week you went back, or the next month you went back, and they didn't have that cultivar, that strain? What do? Do you start all over again? Do you have to test different things? Tell me, please.
We start looking at the parent strains, okay? And then we start looking at the terpene profiles of that particular strain that was helpful. When you find that a strain with a completely different name still has almost that same terpene profile, that was just as effective or sometimes even more effective. So you start dialing in your care like that with specific terpene profiles, looking at the parent strains of that original strain that helped you. Find a strain that has one of those two strains as a parent. Look at those terpene profiles.
And what is your preferred method of ingestion? Did you finally get into real edibles, that didn't have alcohol in them, but had THC and CBD and so forth, or did you have to combine like a THC product with a CBD product to get the balance that you were looking for?
Well, I found that for nighttime, the edibles were the route to go. Not because they made me sleep, but because they gave me that longer relief from the pain, that longer effect.
Many people wake up. I'm sorry to interrupt, but many people wake up in the middle of the night. They're in pain again, and so having something that can get you through that period in the middle of the night is important for so many people. So please go ahead.
Right. So just having a vape, that's going to give you a quicker effect, but not for as long. So started researching it and figuring out, all right, that particular strain taken from and made into a tincture, and then that infused into an edible, that was giving me the strain specific, or more importantly, the terpene specific profile that I needed to get all the way through the night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, then a vape is there to help get you back to sleep. Okay, that's great. But as long as it's relieving that pain or whatever it is that your ailment is keeping you up.
Are the vapes that you're buying for that usage at night to help you sleep, are they strain specific vapes, or are they distillate? Because distillate has got everything specific taken out of it. So how do you source that kind of thing?
The vapes, yes, most of those, especially here in Florida, they're going to be distillate. But that is kind of just a temporary fix. What I found for me was my tinctures and my edibles were really what are effective most for me. But for other people, a vape is great.
Okay, so you've got yourself figured out. Was there a point to where you had to increase your dosage because you were getting a tolerance to it, becoming tolerant, and have to change up strength maybe?
I myself have not had a problem with that, but I do know people that do need to go through those resets once in a while. I'm not a concentrates guy. My pain and my ailments don't require me to take that much. I've got it dialed into where I take a tincture in the morning. I infuse my eggs in the morning. And then from there, I kind of just float through my day with very minor, very small amounts, microdosing all throughout the day. That's what works best for me. We kind of sit down with a client and interview them and figure out through a little bit of trial and error, but a guided trial and error. Okay. We have, fortunately, a dispensary here that I used to work for that has a very open return policy. Have you ever heard of dispensaries taking returns?
No, I have not. I've heard of people.
There are a few that do, and even more when you really know how to ask and go and let them know that, hey, this product did not give me the effect. It actually gave me the opposite effect. Go in and return them. They may not give you cash back, but they'll give you a store credit or something like that.
Yes.
We have a couple of those here.
Well, that's really quite fantastic. I was at a dispensary today, actually, and I said to them, the last stuff I got from you, I really didn't think it was that good, and I left it open for them to interpret. I was buying something new from them that was actually also on sale, and of course, no response. So it's nice that people will stand by and do something for a patient. I mean, these people are there for a reason. They're sick, okay, and they need medicine. It's the problem. Well, we had a problem here in New Mexico, and I'll ask you if the same thing happens in Florida. But are there certain dispensaries that really are treading water, waiting for adult use, and not really giving medical quality? You don't need to name anything. Medical quality products. Are there plenty of suppositories and patches and capsules and so forth?
Are there plenty? No. Are they available? Yes. Are there companies who I believe are treading water until we go adult use? Absolutely.
Mhm.
However, I do feel that even those companies do have some viable products.
Okay. Is there a lack of wanting to make good products? I mean, how many dispensaries are there total in the whole state?
A total number of dispensaries or number of companies? I believe we're at
Dispensaries.
16. Oh,
16 companies,
it was 16 companies. I'm going to say several hundred,
several
maybe
hundred.
400
Oh, okay.
dispensaries total,
So
but
you're
24 million people.
okay. Yes, that you're jammed in there for sure. I mean, I lived there for a while myself in Florida, so I do understand it.
What part of Florida?
I was in Naples for 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah, at
Awesome.
the other side of the Everglades. Anyway, so when I was there, it was 96 through 2005. There was no medical program, and if you got caught with a joint there, that wasn't going to be fun. And I did have seeds, but I did not grow in Florida because I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in Florida. I wanted to leave
Right.
eventually. So but so it's changed a lot, okay? And the fact that there is some kind of a medical program is great. So you're filling a niche there, right? You help people get their cards, and then you also coach them, on their different disabilities or afflictions that they have. Do you find, I think we mentioned MS in our pre-show conversations. What are you telling people with MS, and does what to use, and how to dose themselves? And do you find that different MS patients have different needs as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Everybody's level of suffering is different. Everybody's level of care is going to be different. When you can provide them with a little bit of relief almost immediately or within a few weeks, whereas they've been suffering all of their lives or ever since they've been afflicted, then it encourages them. And maybe some of it is a placebo effect, but I do believe that the terpene specific care is the way to go. And especially if it's coming directly from that plant as opposed to terpenes that are just being added back in.
Right, right. Terpenes are found in many different plants, and myrcene, which is found prominently in many cannabis cultivars, is also found in mangoes, as a matter of fact. And
Yes.
uh, before we knew a lot about terpenes, the first thing that people used to tell us, 7, 8, 9, 10 years ago, was if you eat a mango before you smoke, you're going to get a lot bigger effect, or if you eat mango before you eat an edible, and so forth. Now, I never tried that, but obviously now we know, after studying terpenes and knowing their names and what they do and so forth, the terpene profile that you talk about is so important in the use of the other cannabinoids. That's part of that entourage effect. It's not just the entourage between cannabinoids, but the terpenes work in there. There's a company I interviewed some years ago in Colorado that were doing vape pens with terpenes, and one pen, and they were doing testing. There's videos out there on YouTube and stuff about it, but one would have a happy effect. They were trying, naming it that, and a sleep effect, obviously, which is very important, and daytime and so forth. So yeah, we're learning a lot about terpenes. We're learning every day new things about this plant. And what's the hardest affliction or medical condition that you have tried to work with? Is there one that jumps out at you saying, geez, this is going to be a tough one?
Well, I thought that it was going to be neuropathy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that my father suffers from. My father's 70 years old, overweight, diabetic, suffers from neuropathy. One of my best friends since kindergarten, he had a motorcycle accident about 5 years ago, suffering from neuropathy due to the accident. One of the promo models that I worked with last week, suffering from neuropathy. One of the cannabis doctors. It was amazing the number of people who started coming to me with neuropathic pain. I have a topical that I make that is just absolutely phenomenal for the neuropathy, for the skin. It's just been fantastic. I don't want to manufacture products though. What I want to do is teach people how to make that product themselves. Mm-hmm. The problem here in America is we're lazy. People would just rather pay for it.
Well, you know what?
Making it themselves.
Well, that's true, and not everybody's really capable of doing that. I'm not great making things. I mean, I make my own tinctures. Well, I call them drops because I don't use alcohol in them. Right. I'm terrible with hammers and screwdrivers, and don't ask me to build. I haven't built anything since a tie rack in shop class of 60 years ago, whatever that was, So some people just don't have that in them. Some people aren't gardeners. You're going to be able to grow in some states when legalization comes. Here in New Mexico, as of the other day, we're allowed to grow 6 plants. Everybody, but not everybody's going to grow 6 plants. And a lot of the dispensary owners and so forth were against having the right to grow because they're afraid they're going to lose money, okay, which is just a terrible way to go into this business. So there's a place for people to have products made for them, okay? It's hard. So I would hope that maybe you would hook up. It's great to teach somebody, how to do something because, the old saying is if you feed a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach him to fish, he eats for a lifetime. So, I do understand that and so forth. So I would hope that you would, if you have a great formula, that you could get somebody to white label it for you and get it out there. It wouldn't be you standing there, mixing the stuff, but your formula would be there. I would hope that you would look forward to that possibly in the future. So a topical for neuropathy. That makes sense. I have neuropathy as well. I do use a topical and edibles. So how's your dad doing with your topical?
Wow, his neuropathy pain is down about 60%, he said. The swelling in his legs is down about 40%. That's due to another product that you and I talked about before we went on the air. That's the Solin U water-soluble product, their wellness blend. I had already had him on the diet and had him doing everything else. The only thing that we changed was adding in the Solin U water-soluble wellness blend. It just increases circulation and has that swelling down in his leg. So it's a combination of a bunch of different things that we just kind of dialed in real quick. Mm-hmm. And so, like I said, the neuropathy pain I thought was going to be the toughest, but it turns out to be one of the most common. Now sitting here talking to you, I'm finding out that you're suffering from it. So
yes,
I ship you some of this to try it. And I don't care if it crosses state lines. I really don't care.
Well, that's very nice. Absolutely. And so the Solin U line is a water-soluble line of cannabinoids based without THC, except for whatever is legally allowed in the hemp industry, which is at 0.3%. I haven't tried mine yet, as I mentioned to you, but I look forward to it. Rick is an amazing guy. And so you were actually, for your dad, using that topically as well? Or was he internally taking the Solin U product for your dad?
He's taking the Solin U internally and then my topical externally. And my CBD oil that I manufacture right in my kitchen. He's been taking that for, I want to say 5 months now, but started on my weight loss program. He's down 46 pounds and 10 weeks, I've lost 100 pounds since July 7th of last year. So
Wow.
in exactly 1 year, I'm down 100 pounds. So.
Well, I'm down like, of course, I've gained like 7 or 8 pounds in the last 3 weeks just out of aggravation. But over the last 12 years, I'm down like 100 pounds as well. And
Wow, that's
so
amazing,
it's
isn't it?
I did it slowly, and whatever you're doing sounds amazing. You look fantastic. You also have a history in the sports industry. Am I correct on that?
Yes,
So
I used to own a professional football team here in Florida. We played in the Arena Football League.
mhm.
I played in football indoors in a basketball arena. You kind of take the hockey walls, put pads on them, and then play a full contact sport.
I think I remember seeing some of that on TV some years ago. So obviously, cannabinoids and cannabis and hemp is CBD and THC is becoming acceptable in the sports industry. Okay, so can you tell us how hard it has been? I'm sure you follow up on the NFL and basketball and baseball and so forth. So tell us about how it's acceptable now, and so many athletes are actually coming into this injury for their injuries into this industry. So give us a little background on that, because I think cannabis is going to be very important to the sports industry because of concussions and so forth. So I'd love to hear your take on
Yes.
that.
Well, first of all, since I left pro football, I haven't turned on a TV in 5.5 years.
Okay.
I watch TV once a year, and that's for the Super Bowl, and that's it. Don't watch any other games. I really don't follow any of the other, stats and anything like that. But I do follow some of the news, and I understand that Major League Baseball, Major League Soccer, the NFL are all going to be getting rid of their cannabis testing programs because they realize, wait, this player lives in a legal state. They can legally consume it. Just because he's playing in another state doesn't mean that, he shouldn't test positive for it. So they are getting rid of those antiquated rules and going to kind of open up. But I think what they really need to do is start realizing how quickly CBD alone and how quickly THC combined with the CBD can reduce that inflammation.
Hmm.
It can really, really help with concussions. I worked with Doug Plank from the Chicago Bears. Okay. He was the 46 defense. I had the honor of hiring him as my head coach with the team that I worked with here.
Hmm.
And I can tell you how many concussions I witnessed him suffer as I watched him. He was kind of one of my mentors in football growing up. And then to get to hire him as my head coach and really watch his playing style and his coaching style, how they led with that helmet. That was a weapon for them.
Absolutely. And concussions, I can't think of the name of the uh, the disease or affliction that former players get when they get older.
CTE.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Is that okay? So I've been told and have read that if you administer CBD and THC in the right combination, it's obviously a neuroprotective, that it could really help a concussion if it was administered right away. I know that in talking with Rick Dushin about his products, he was doing some experimentation in ambulances and so forth at one time when there was some funding for it. So I think that's definitely the future in sports, is to be able to administer some of these products right away. And of course, players have been using cannabis for years, for their pain. I mean, they're taught to play with pain. I mean, they're used to playing with pain, but it's just not a great thing physically or psychologically to be doing that all the time. I guess you could tell me this: the careers of pro sports athletes are getting shorter and shorter, aren't they? Except
Absolutely. Number
except
one.
for, except for that guy who plays for Tampa now.
Oh, yeah. We're not going to name his name. Or
I don't like his name.
Okay. That's fine. He's my hero. I say never count the old guy out. And,
No,
I'm,
it's fun to watch. He's quite an athlete for
yeah,
sure.
he absolutely is. But he takes care of his body.
Yeah.
I think he spends about a little over $1 million a year maintaining his body, just
Wow.
between his diet. And it's just like LeBron. He does the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you want to continue with a career like that, then take care of your body.
So, where do you think it's going to go for sports in the next couple of years? Obviously, testing, like you just mentioned, is becoming less and less, allowing cannabinoids in their system. So, um,
Let's look at a player like Ricky Williams. He left the NFL, walked away from the NFL for cannabis. Okay. He realized that had he not been using cannabis, he would never have been able to play as well as he did and never be able to recover as quickly as he did. I think that he should really be the spokesman. Now he's launching his own cannabis line, the Heisman.
how's that spelled, by the way?
HIGH. Just like it should be.
That's fantastic. I didn't know
Actually
that.
just launched it a couple weeks ago.
No kidding. Wow. Maybe I can get him to come on the show.
Oh, I can put you in contact with him.
That would be wonderful. I think that would be great. I've had a few players on before, and players are now actually investing in some companies because they believe in it and they've tried it and so forth. So tell me more about where you think Florida is going to go with their medical program, and when do you think adult use will be put into play here? I know Florida is just such a uh, crazy state. I'm sorry to say, but it's just always been that way. Look at the elections of where it's come down in the last 20 years. It's just been outrageous. So will adult use happen sooner than later?
I am very hopeful that it'll happen in about 2 years here in Florida. It might take 4, but I really firmly believe that it'll happen in 2 years. I'm really hoping that we have federal legalization in 5 years.
Okay, so
maybe that's ambitious, but that's what I'm hoping.
Well, my mantra has been that we have to save the medical programs when we legalize for adult use, and I can talk, and so can everybody else. We can talk our heads off, but it doesn't seem to be happening. They promised us here in New Mexico that legalization for adult use would not affect the medical program, but it has. They've actually taken it away from the Department of Health. Health Department of,
Yep.
and all they do is issue cards now. They're not involved with anything else. And they sort of took away part of the plant count and so forth that we were allowed to have. So do you think Florida will be able to keep a medical program going, or do you think Washington State and Oregon, Colorado still has one going, but some of the states just no one wants to be in the medical industry anymore after adult use. They see the dollars. So
Right, that's the problem. When they see those dollars, now I see it. I will always maintain my medical card because I fly to Denver quite a bit. Now, if I purchase anything in the dispensary out there, I pay 26% tax in Denver. I think that's ridiculous. So I will always keep my medical card.
Yes.
Hopefully, we start some reciprocity with other states with the medical cards.
Well, you
For
can
example,
come. You can come to New Mexico with your medical card, and you can buy without tax at our dispensaries. Okay, we do
Right.
have reciprocity. And
you do, but we don't. So when you come
Right.
here, you can't go into our dispensaries at all. And I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
That is true. I can tell you that I've never flown to Florida without my medicine. I'll just put it
Yes.
that way. I've been smoking for 53 years, and it generally goes where I go. Oh, well, that's a
Try
whole,
flying with that. That is so easy to fly with.
absolutely.
I will buy my toothpaste wherever I go, but I'm traveling with that in my bag.
Carry on, right?
Carry on. I hand it right to TSA.
Well, they've been quite lax, not lax. They've been
Yes.
told that to let us through. Okay, it's not something that needs to take up their time. And then if there is an incident, they call the locals over to take care of it. But so things are looking better. You still can't mail stuff legally. And you can't even mail a vape product now,
Right.
or ship things. I mean, that's with legalization comes tons of over regulation, which is still part of the stigma that we've been fighting for the last 80 years, and we are progressing very quickly in the last 15 years. considering how slow it went, for the previous, 70. So it's exciting to see people get back to the plant because they were afraid to use it all these years because of the legalities of it. But again, crazy restrictions that some of these states put on us it just will not work. It won't work in rec, and it won't work in medicine. They discriminate this as a medicine, but we do owe California and all those people in 1996, Dennis Barone and Dan Herrera, not Dan, but his father, Jack, and all those people, Brownie Mary, all those people that just told the world that this was a medicine. So it's just exciting that it's, more and more states are coming on medicinally. But I hope that there'll be a bunch of people in Florida that will fight to keep these dispensaries medical in some way. I know that one dispensary there has most of the license, the dispensaries themselves. What are they called there? Are they called nonprofit? Are they nonprofits or are they for profit in Florida?
No, they're for profit.
They're definitely okay.
About a 70% profit margin before botanicals. I actually work for that largest one.
Okay, is that true? That's true, right?
Yes.
I'm being facetious and I'm making a pun.
That is true.
Okay. So did you think that Florida will be able to keep a medical program? Honestly, I mean, that's you will. Now, I hate to keep ranting, but here in New Mexico with the adult use bill that just started, they're going to have micro licenses, and they will give people a incentive to have a medical dispensary. So you can get at a very nominal fee a medical license to dispense cannabis and make products for medical people. So I hope that I know that Gary Stein.
No.
Gary Stein has been a prominent warrior for cannabis in Florida. I suggest you find him. I don't think he's that far from you for some reason. I think he's maybe up in that area, or at least I know that he goes to Tampa. He goes. He goes to Tallahassee all the time to speak and to advocate and so forth. But definitely get a hold of him. And there's a veteran named Jose Belin. Do you know him?
The name sounds very familiar.
Jose Belin. You need to hook up with these guys.
This is we have a lot of people here, but the state isn't that big, so I'll be able to find them.
Well, the cannabis proliferators and advocates and activists, there's more and more all the time, and it's up to us as advocates of this plant to educate not only our doctors, because they haven't been taught about the endocannabinoid system, but the law enforcement needs to be educated. And of course, the frontline people at the dispensaries, you had that terrible experience.
Yes.
They need to be educated. So it's all about learning about the plant and educating.
Yes, we're not just needing to educate patients. We're needing to educate our legislators. We need to educate our research facilities. For God's sake, our healthcare workers that work in a hospital can't use this medicine. That is wrong.
Well, when you said legislators, it just made me crack up laughing just now because, I watched, the whole legislation period, to legalize here in New Mexico. And I've seen it in other states as well. These are the people that are making the laws. They know nothing about the plant. They don't have a clue. They still chuckle and they still speak against it, especially the R's, with snide remarks and snide attitudes and so forth. But the minute that their wife or child's got some cancer, all of a sudden they're converted.
Yeah.
I'm
a believer now, right?
It's really quite sad, but education is it. So are you you have a website, floridacannabiscoach.com, right?
That is correct.
So do you have education up there as well?
I have a new series that'll be released next month. I for the last 32 years, I've worked as an educator. I've owned an educational tour company, taking school groups on field trips.
Really?
I'm still educating. I still own that business as well. I'm still educating. I'm just educating a different class now. a different audience.
So what is your plan? You're going to make a series of videos?
Yes, I do have a series of videos that we do edibles and infusions classes, my terpenology courses, all of that are in a
Terpenology?
series. Yes.
I love that. Do you have terpenology.com? I hope nobody's got that and you can go buy that right now. That's a good one.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna go look it
You
up,
better
but
write
don't
it
air
down.
this one just yet.
I'm not going to, now this is not going to air until Saturday. You've got, a couple
Okay,
days
good.
to go buy that before I grab it. No,
Yeah.
you can,
Hey, if you do and make some money off of it, I
no,
don't
no,
care.
no, I don't do that. If
Yeah.
someone comes up with a term,
Yeah.
it's theirs. I give them a chance to go get it. But as you know, I'm heavily invested in domain names for cannabis. But so the terminology, it's trial and error.
It is.
You
It
know,
is, but there is a general science to it. Now, as we get more research, and it's not just the research, but I believe now it's programs like this, like what you're doing right now, which help educate people. We have a lot more resources at our fingertips now than we did a year ago or that we did 5 years ago. We can get that information out.
so
I just listened to your interview with Gil the other day,
with Gil
and
Luxembourg, yeah.
yes, we get his research now because we can communicate with him in an open fashion now.
And Gil is in Israel, and of course, he's involved there with Professor Meshulam, who discovered cannabinoids and THC and CBD and the endocannabinoid system. So, we're what they're doing there and what the United States has funded over the last 50 years. We've been funding those studies in Israel and in other places as well. But at least Israel was looking for benefits from cannabis and not the negative, which they couldn't find here in the United States, even though the products that they were testing was this crap from Mississippi that they're still growing and giving
Yes.
away to, I think, only one person now who lives in Florida, Irv Rosenfeld. Do you know him?
Yes.
Okay, have you seen his big tin that they give him? Have you ever seen that
Yes.
stuff? It's stems and seeds and crapola.
Yeah.
It's
Nothing I would
that's
smoke, but hey,
oh, I don't even like looking at it. But
I'll try to
so
make a tincture out of it.
you would?
I would try to see what we could find, but there's so much better stuff out there. If they would just let us do the research and honestly, it's coming. There are other states and now one of the problems is our research facilities, our research universities, they're funded by big pharma. Okay. And until they can figure out a way to make a buck on it, then they're not going to continue funding research for cannabis.
They're either funded by big pharma, or they're funded by organizations that are purposely trying to prove negativity to it.
Right.
You know. So whenever you read a study, you really have to look and see who commissioned it and so forth to understand the abstract and the results and so forth. There's tons of articles out there, and of course you know about Club Med. That's an incredible PubMed. There's thousands, 50, 60, 100,000 articles out there, just technical stuff that we can use to teach. One of my favorite sightings when I try to educate somebody is when someone will tell me, well, it's got to be bad to smoke anything. Okay, you shouldn't smoke anything. I don't want to smoke cannabis. It's got to cause cancer. But the Harvard study that says in testing 5,000 men that smoking cannabis or vaping it not only improves lung function but lung volume. Okay, so it's actually good. It's a bronchodilator. It does all kinds of wonderful things. So that's what I use to tell people that you shouldn't be afraid of smoking it. You take one little puff, and it could take you out of terrible stomach cramps, or take you, if you're having anxiety, the right amount of cannabis can actually cure your anxiety, but the wrong dosage can actually give. Talk about PTSD. You have patients with PTSD, so I'm sure you find what I'm talking about to be true, right?
Absolutely. I work with a group of veterans here that every single one of them suffer from PTSD. My best friend's wife, she's a paramedic. She has been for 30 years. you want to talk about PTSD, our healthcare workers that have just come out of this period of dealing with COVID. Imagine what they were going through. Okay, having to treat those people coming in and being scared for their lives, and yet having to go back home to their families and then go right back to work the next day. Imagine what they witnessed. Talk about PTSD. Yes, we can help those people.
I think they saw the horrors of what many people deny happened. Okay, I mean, it's just really sad that there's so many COVID deniers, but I know some nurses and some docs, and one of them that runs a whole floor in Miami at one of the big hospitals there, and what I was told and just the stress and so forth. But I think some of them actually do partake when they can and so forth. But the PTSD, coming from war, or coming from an accident, coming from a bad relationship, many people suffer that. So, what is your advice to trying to help a PTSD person? How do you deal with them?
I start out with the strains that have helped them if they have been consuming it all. If not, we start with small doses. Try a little bit here, a little bit there, 1 or 2 puffs. Let's see, how did that make you feel? What I always tell every client to do, no matter what, keep a journal. Write down what you took, how much you took, how it made you feel, what you liked or didn't like about it.
What time you took it?
What time you took it?
How long you felt better? Eat beforehand, very crucial, if they did or didn't, because the effect of an edible or a tincture, definitely gets into the play there.
Right. And one thing that you mentioned earlier, that eating the mango before you consume. Absolutely. If you haven't tried that, try it. I actually discovered a product a few weeks ago that is the equivalent of 10 mangoes in a capsule. Take that 45 minutes before you consume, and it will amplify the effect quite a bit.
Do you remember the name of that?
Haven't tried that?
What's it called?
Yes, I do. I didn't want to mention it on the air, but it's called Mango Caps.
Mango Caps.
I don't like to promote products that
Well, if you
aren't
find
sponsored or anything, but that product is absolutely fabulous.
I've been educating, advocating, and entertaining, over 500 shows for the last 12, 13 years. I don't take money from anybody. If you know of a product that works for somebody, we're educating people. So that's what it's all about. The money is not why I do this show. Money will come when it's ready to come, in the area of cannabis that I get into. But yes, Mango Caps, that sounds fantastic. And you've obviously tried it yourself, and it does work.
Yes, absolutely. I found them to be very effective.
Would
I say it's 10 times more effective? No, but it's highly effective.
Would you say to be careful? Maybe take a mango cap and wait the prescribed time, and then smoke something or eat something, but maybe not overdo it if it's going to ×2 it, or something.
If you are to the point where you're discovering mango caps and taking them, then you probably already know your tolerance levels and
good point.
So forth. I'm not going to recommend it to somebody that's brand new to cannabis. I'm not going to tell you to go and take a strain that you've never tried before. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I would tell you to take it and take a strain that you're familiar with and see how it affects you differently. I found it to be very effective.
Lecithin is also something that you can emulsify with cannabinoids that enhance its use. And absolutely. I've been told to be careful with that too.
Yes. Kind of makes it more like a nano product. So those, get soaked into the bloodstream a little bit faster and give you a stronger effect.
More bioavailable and body available, as Rick talks about his products and so forth. Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we go? We do have some time if you wish. I'd like you to tell me about anything that you're involved with that will help people.
Well, we talked about the cannabis coaching and what I do here in Florida. There's a whole lot more to what I do, and that's kind of what I do nationally. And what I've been developing nationally is a network of people who are very knowledgeable in the cannabis industry, and kind of putting together pieces of a puzzle. If a company needs staffing, I know people.
Uh-huh.
I have hundreds and hundreds of people who are wanting to get into the industry or have already been in it and are looking to do something more rewarding, something like what I'm doing now. I find companies like Rick's and find a need where they need something. They need a marketing guy. They need something like that. So putting together those pieces of the puzzle is kind of really what I do. I travel the country to cannabis festivals, conventions, trade shows every single week. I'm at one of these. This week I won't be because of the holiday weekend, but next week I'll be right back out in Las Vegas on the 8th of July to appear at the Las Vegas Cannabis Awards and another event just prior to that the night before.
That's the
Hayes
Hayes.
Cup.
That's the Hayes Cup. Absolutely.
Yes.
Andrew
I'll be a
Piscos.
judge at the Hayes Cup.
Oh, very cool. I'm actually
Yes.
judging, as I mentioned earlier, I'm judging some edibles right now for a 710 cup that's happening in a couple of weeks here locally in Albuquerque. So that's been quite interesting as well. So have you judged before?
This will be my second judging competition. I
Right.
really, really enjoy them. However, I'm really looking forward to just meeting and connecting and discovering new products all of the time. I found one up in Atlanta last week at the CBD Expo that just absolutely amazes me.
You're welcome to tell me
That's-
about it. I'd love to hear about
Okay.
it.
That's the Hitoki Laser Bong. And if you haven't seen that, you're about to.
Hitoki Laser Bong.
Yes,
What-
this
what's-
one is absolutely amazing. Now, it's not vaporizing the product, it's actually combusting the product, but with a laser and not with a flame, not with an open flame.
At
So
what
this,
temperature do you think?
take a look at it. I don't know if you can see it in the camera, but the laser, I don't have any flour in this one right now, unfortunately, because I didn't have any ground up.
So what temperature does it combust? Do you know what it
Catching me
does?
off the top of my dome,
okay.
I don't recall. I'd have to look it up.
Is
but,
it just for flour? Or
This
can
one
you-
is just for flour. However, the next version of it, we'll be able to do some concentrates as well.
Okay. Again, the name of that is what?
That is Hitoki, Hitoki, the Hitoki Laser Bong. And you can find it on my website at floridacannabiscoach.com. Or if you go to hitokilaser.com, I believe it is, and you enter promo code coach, you'll get a discount on there.
Very cool. And so what do you think that it's doing that is different than other electronic devices?
Such a clean burn. I don't smoke a lot of flower. Okay. I'm more of a tinctures and edibles guy, but smoking it from here is so clean. It doesn't have that burn. It doesn't make me cough. I'm able to fill up my lungs and breathe it out cleanly.
Mm-hmm.
It is just a super neat device. Now, the one that I have, of course, is the flashy one, the 24 karat gold one. However, they have several others there. I just absolutely love the product. My director of social engineering, he described this product to us and just said, man, wouldn't it be neat one day if we had one of these things? And 30 minutes later, another one of our friends, we were on a video conference call with her, and Stephen, my director of social engineering, he wasn't there. But we saw this device and we said, whoa, wait a minute. And the very next week, I'm in a meeting with these guys in Atlanta and brought it back home. And to see Stephen just smile on his face, because he's hard to please. All right. He's a disabled veteran. You know, he's a brilliant mind, but sometimes, you need a thrill.
Mm-hmm.
This made him smile like I've never
Wow.
seen it. And every single time that he uses it, he's like, wow, this just happened in a week. We found this product. We've imagined this product, found the product, and now we've got one here to try.
Wow, innovation is so exciting. That's I've seen a lot of innovation in my lifetime. Okay, I just turned 71 a couple of days ago, so I've seen a lot. And what's going to happen in the next 20 years, I can't even imagine. And I'm probably not going to be here for all of that. I hope to be here for most of that if I can. But the innovation that we've seen, and we're in a new industry, brand new, and we're all pioneers in it. And we're all thinking of different ways of doing things and learning more about the plant every day. And it's just exciting to see the innovation. A lot of it is inspired while actually being under the effect of this plant. So, many of the domain names that I have, if not all of them, have been inspired while
Yes.
using the plant. It's a very creative plant. We have to thank, the plant for writers and musicians, and it's definitely a creative, wonderful plant that has just been terribly maligned over the years, and now there's people like you and me and other people, many other people that are now teaching, and it's exciting because there's people teaching about the plant in Oklahoma and in Arkansas and all these states that had no idea what it was. It's just I just love what's going on, and I look forward to seeing what happens. So again, give out your website and how people can get in touch with you. Are you doing any cannabis tours, educating tours? But you're in that education business, so I mean, are you going to take a group of people to Denver on one of your trips and show them around? And is that in the works? I know there's a company called
Oh, Larry,
420
yes.
Tours in Denver. There's a company called 420 Tours, I believe.
Yes,
Uh,
I've actually been on their tours. And what I discovered was, yes, they're a great company and they have great tours, but they were very difficult to book with. The quality of the tour could have been better. I've been doing educational tours here in Florida for 32 years, and I'm the top in my industry in the school group field, in the educational field.
Excellent.
Now, when I combine my cannabis knowledge and we go adult use here, I'm going to be doing cannabis tours here in the tourism capital of the world. Yes, I will be doing those.
Yeah,
They're already being lined up, but no need to do them right now in a medical only state.
Gotcha.
But
Well, what you
everything
could,
is set and ready.
I I know that there's a lot of senior citizen homes in Florida, and I'm hoping that there's a company out there that maybe grabs 15 people from a senior citizen home and take them over to the dispensary for some medicine, or at least getting CBD into these homes. I would think
Yes.
that that's got to be a great outlet for people. So it's Florida. Is it coach or coaching?
FloridaCannabisCoach.com is the website.
Cannabiscoach.com. Go ahead. Email
FloridaCannabisCoach.com
and
and info@FloridaCannabisCoach.com to reach me.
and
And my phone
Instagram.
number is on the website as well. Instagram, Florida Cannabis Coach.
Wow. I think that's very easy to remember. Scott York, thank you very much. I appreciate your story and your passion and the fact that you're out there working in the cannabis industry, educating and helping people feel better. I appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me on and appreciate the job that you're doing, getting the word out there as well. In New Mexico, you've got new people that are going to now be able to grow plants. Guess what they need? They need education. They need to know
Absolutely.
how to grow it. They need to know what to grow. They need to know how to use it after they grow it. It's not just smoking it anymore. And
That's
if they
right.
do want to smoke it, we've got a great laser bong for them.
Well, I'm definitely going to check that out online as soon as I finish. So thanks, Scott, and appreciate it again. And peace and love. And we'll be right back after this. Thank you so much.
This is the Medical Marijuana Radio Show with Larry Love. Holla.
I want to thank Scott very much for coming on and talking to us today. Keep doing what you're doing and educating all over the country, Scott. Appreciate you. Also want to thank my two radio mentors, both with the initials HS. Thank you for your inspiration. Once again, don't forget my Late Night with Larawana show on Clubhouse every Friday and Saturday nights at 9 p.m. We'll be back next week with another great guest. Peace and love, everybody. Peace and love.